Which one is this?
82.
82. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Complete Game podcast. I'm your host, Curt Schilling. He is your co-host, Garrick Schilling. What's up, G?
Not much. We got a couple of awards. We
We
also
do.
have I think it's the perfect word for it, a scandal update
Oh, yeah.
as
Yeah.
far as the gambling controversy goes. I have a little bit of puke on my sweatshirt, but I'm ready to fire. So, what do you want to start with? You want to do the awards or?
Yeah, let's, we've got AL NL Rookie of the Year. Braves catcher Drake Baldwin wins in the National League over Cubs starter Kate Horn. And Nick Kurtz of the Oakland A's, the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's, ran away with the American League or National League Rookie of the Year in two really deserving players. It was Kurtz had a monster day inside of a monster year, and kind of sucks that he's in that franchise. I'd like to see him somewhere. That would have been such a much bigger deal if he was a Dodger or with one of those franchises that gets a lot of airtime, but he didn't. So yeah, so those two guys sweep take home Rookie of the Year. And then in today, the Manager of the Years, Pat Murphy wins his consecutive Manager of the Year awards, beating out Terry Francona and Phillies' Rob Thompson. And Stephen Voigt wins for Cleveland. So that's right, I didn't realize both of those guys repeated. Wow. Okay. I don't know why I didn't hit me, but Voigt beats out Kevin Cash of the Rays. Or no, I'm sorry. Kevin Cash was the last one to win consecutive awards. He beat out Snyder, who I thought was going to win, in Seattle's Dan Wilson. All the voting was done like everything else before the postseason, so that's why you might have some skewed perspective. But Cleveland, we were talking about it. We talked about the entire second half. Early July, they were 15.5 back of Detroit. They made the postseason. And Cleveland is a great jump-off point because the next story, and probably the one that should be getting all the headlines, is that
You want me to?
Yeah, go ahead. And
So, over the weekend, Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz of the Cleveland Guardians were indicted by prosecutors in Brooklyn on a host of charges related to a scheme to rig bets on pitches thrown in MLB games, which is a specific prop bet. Clase's alleged actions date back to May of 2023 and allegedly have benefited co-conspirators up to $700,000, while Ortiz, more recently got into this. And I guess Clase was responsible for a little bit of that, allegedly. The two together made a smaller group, 450 grand, allegedly. And then Clase is alleged to have communicated with bettors via text during games. If convicted, the pair could face up to 65 years in prison. If convicted, each defendant faces a maximum sentence for 20 years for wire fraud conspiracy, 20 years for honest services wire fraud conspiracy, 20 years for imprisonment on money laundering conspiracy, and 5 for conspiracy to influence sports contests by bribery. I didn't really get the 20 years for honest services wire fraud. That's just like when the example I looked up was when a public official accepts a bribe from a contractor and awards them a city contract. So it's basically
right.
It's very, very.
It's the honesty of the contract. I'm going to do everything ethical and moral the right way when I'm under your employ, basically.
That's kind of
Garrett, can I grab a
breach
drink real quick?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. It's part of the breach of social contract, I guess, they have with MLB and the Cleveland Guardians as an organization. Clase was not in custody. Ortiz lawyer maintains his innocence. Prosecutors allege Ortiz was paid $12,000 to intentionally throw 2 balls instead of strikes in 2 separate games. Clase allegedly received matching payments of $12,000 for helping to arrange Ortiz's rig pitches. This is all coming on the heels of that large NBA scandal that involved multiple notable names and up to 30 guys, including the Mafia. And don't forget Shohei's translator, that whole thing that was very, very quickly swept under the rug. This feels like at the opposite end of that spectrum where they're trying to make an example out of these two guys.
Well, So I was on a show the other day, last week on Fox, Brian Kilmeade's show, and it was about the gambling thing. And Michael Francesi was on, who was a former member of the Gambino crime family, and he was also someone who Major League Baseball brought in during the spring training to talk to us about this. And the most shocking thing to Michael in this entire NBA scandal was none of the things you think of. The most shocking thing to him was that 4 mafia crime families were working together. He's like, you don't understand. That's just unheard of. That would be like the Nazis and the Italians and the Americans and the British all coordinating in the second. He's like that. These 4 are always at war with each other, and war, like, people are dying. And for them to have gone in, he said the stakes had to be beyond comprehension. So this is a tip of the iceberg thing in my mind, and I can't get past. So every year there's this thing called the Darwin Awards, and the Darwin Awards generally showcase how stupid human beings are, right? It's just people die when they do incredibly stupid things, and people do, and you look at. I'll give you one. Billy Joel is married to Christy Brinkley, and he cheats on her. People are like, wait, what? You're married to the most beautiful. You cheat. Like, people do stuff that is so irrational and stupid. Clase has made over $12 million up to this point in his career. He was due for a monster contract, and Ortiz had made millions. And I mean, the upside on the other end is 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 70 million more for either or both. We're talking about $2,000, $4,000, $10,000 bets, and they threw it all away. I will be stunned if both of these guys don't serve significant prison terms, because this is absolutely an example. You saw Major League Baseball got the gambling entities to agree to lower the maximum prop bet to $200, and that's not going to stop the illegal stuff from happening. I mean, that's not going to stop there are still going to be people reaching out to, and getting involved in professional athletes' lives for things like this.
I mean, that's we talked about this when it happened. It's one of those things where I know you played the game, so it's different for you. You enjoy sports gambling now, but it has gotten so far and away from what it was even when you played, where, there's spreads, there's totals, there's the fact that you can bet on the first pitch, miles per hour. Like, if you're a gambler out there and you've looked at a DraftKings or a FanDuel or any of these apps, it is barbaric the amount of things that you can place any amount of wagers on. I mean, and it's this easy to detect.
They're what, 300 pitches in a major league game, 54 outs. I mean, every single one of those events can be a prop bet, and but these are the dummies that get caught, and I think there's probably this is kind of like the drugs across the border thing. We're catching 1 million pounds of this. Well, that means probably 8 million pounds is getting across. You're catching these 2 guys, but what else? Who else is doing it? Where else are they doing it? What else? I mean, and you've had what? I for my entire life, I've always heard of people talking about the NFL's rigged. How many phantom calls have we seen? How many, I go back, I think it was the Bengals-Rams Super Bowl. At the end of that, when they'd not been blown for a penalty the whole game, and all of a sudden, with a minute to go.
Are you talking about the NFC Championship between
the
Saints and the Rams, the defensive pass interference?
Well, I remember that was another one.
Yeah, that felt rigged at the time.
Right. And every weekend you have somebody saying, all right, tell me where this penalty is, when one guy never touches another guy and the guy's blown for a penalty that changes the spread from 7 to 12, or the late field goal up 22 when the spread is, it just, and then NIL's into college. So money is insane in college. I mean, you've seen that's crazy. It's just crazy. And I think it's a runaway freight train now, and I don't know that there's any getting a hold of it again.
Is there, so these guys, again, this is all alleged. I think, who is it? Ortiz hasn't been, no, Clase is not in custody. He's in the Dominican Republic. Ortiz was released yesterday, I believe, around 5 p.m. on a $500,000 bail. But he had to give up his passport. Is this I mean, I hate to be the one to have to ask the question, but is this the type of thing that, like, if Shohei was telling his translator, like, hey, so and so is not playing in the lineup today, is that the type of thing he should have been punished for too, or do we just not talk about it because he's a back-to-back world champion and these guys
Right.
are
No.
on the rise, like you mentioned, but
right.
they're of a level to make an example out of, where, like, hey, cut the shit out with texting your buddy on the side about the first pitch of the third inning because you'll serve 60 years in prison if you don't. I don't give a shit unless you're Shohei Ohtani or Mike Trout or whoever it might be. Paul's, like, name whoever it is. But if you're not one of those guys, you're not going to get that type of treatment. And again, that's all alleged too, but
We don't know where the line is. I still find it hard to believe that all of that happened without his knowledge, Shohei's knowledge. I want to believe it did.
we talked about it at the time, though. You're like, he's either the biggest idiot ever, which could happen. You played with a lot of idiots, very talented idiots. You guys were a bunch of idiots in 04, proudly, and wore it on shirts, or he's involved. Like, there's one of two options, and he seems like a smart guy. It seems like the type of thing that, looking at MLB's relationship with DraftKings and all the gambling apps, it's like, why wouldn't they want to keep Shohei Ohtani in the app?
Right.
Instead of suspending him, putting him in jail,
there's
making an example out of him.
I mean, it doesn't you're not going to stop it. You're not going to stop it. You just and my God, when you read the details of this, these guys are clearly dumbasses. I mean, just no common sense whatsoever, and text messages, and I mean, and then, I guess the lawyers have to say my client never did anything wrong. I can't wait till he has his day in court. So,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, you want to be nowhere near court with this. But this is just another example, and I've said it my whole career. In many ways, professional athletes are exactly like everybody else on the planet, with the same strengths and weaknesses when it comes to everyday life. The one thing that they do is, or multiple things they do, is athletically, they're better than anybody you've ever seen at doing something. That doesn't make them less likely to be an alcoholic or to beat their wives or to be a drug addict or to have a gambling problem. In fact, you could argue that the competitive part of professional sports amps that stuff up.
Well, and something else you can speak to, like the freedom as a, like, speaking on a little bit of a younger guy, Shane Pinto, like, for the NHL, like, you have money you've never dreamed of having for the first time in your life. What's a $500 bet on your buddy's DraftKings account? Like, I think that's what it was. But you have to draw that line now, and leagues are I think a little too late to make that line in the sand at this point.
Yeah, well, there can be no gray area. There can be no gray area in a field built of gray. That's the problem. There is no going back now. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's out, and the mob doesn't care. I mean, if there was a mob connection with these two guys, they're not going to care. They'll find two other guys, or they have two other guys, or they have more guys. The players have to get scared. Well, here's the thing. You've made $12 million, and you're doing something that I don't care how smart, I don't care if you're high school educated or not, you're doing something that will end everything if you get caught. And you're that blasé-faire about it? Texting, hey, just tell them it's for a horse. Wait, like, so, no, it's not going to end, and it's not over. And, I just wonder, we're going to have a class action lawsuit at some point, because you could argue that everybody on DraftKings that was betting those Cleveland games could be, hey, it's a rigged sport, and I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here. I just know it goes nowhere good.
We also got to mention the tweet we were talking about when we had dinner tonight, the one time they tried to do it and Andy Pages swung at a bad off-speed pitch down and out.
So they made 8 bets on pitches, and he was 7 for 8. And the one time that he failed, Andy Pages swings at it on a horrible pitch, and apparently the guys that were wagering sent a picture of a guy hanging by a noose. Like were they threatening his life?
Swinging from a ceiling fan meme, the GIF.
But that's what the mob did to guys that played sports. Like, hey, if you don't do this, we'll kill you, or something stupid like that. Like, just
back when it was more lawless. But the scary part about this, and like the thing I'm trying to emphasize, is that, like, these companies are so incestual now. Like ESPN is owned by Disney, who's involved with the NFL, and the NFL is an official partner, or the ESPN's an official partner of DraftKings. So, and DraftKings is the official sponsor of Monday Night Football. Like, at what point is that a direct influence on
Well, it
how the
is.
game?
Well, it
How do you
already is.
handicap that?
You don't. You can't. It's like I said, we're past the point of no return. We're past the point of turning back. We're past the point of fixing it. We're way past the line in the sand. Now it's just a matter of here's the other problem now with social media. Everybody has a camera. Every single play in every single meaningful game forever is going to be scrutinized even more so now. Right? I mean, well, I'll go off topic in sports. If you look at the whole thing around Charlie Kirk, how many phone videos are coming out since that happened of people that there's 50 or 60 different angles and shots of the actual event. That's going to happen in sports too. And the games are already covered by cameras, but well, listen, I think I showed you this last week. There were two plays. One was in the NFL, one was in college, where a guy was ready to make a tackle and he pulled up and didn't tackle the guy. And the guy ran for a first down or ran for a score. Like, it was like, wait a minute, what just happened right there? Like, now.
I wish I was a bigger college football fan. There was one a week ago where a guy, it was like 8 seconds or something on the last play of the game, and he just had to like run backwards. He had like 60 yards worth of field, but he ran all the way into his own end zone and took a safety to cover like a 3.5 point spread.
Yeah.
And it's like shit like that where it's like, why wouldn't that barely Division I, just enough to be like in a game that's on DraftKings guy, not take $100 from the guy who sells him pizza and weed to run one back to cover 2.5 points? Like, there's no, and that is the crack in the armor that can ruin it all. Like, it doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter if it's Shohei's translator. Like, that guy is influencing how the World Series or whatever it is could potentially go down.
Yep. No, we're at a point of no return. It's crazy.
I'm very interested to see where this goes, though. If they end up making an example out of this, or what they find from Discovery.
Well,
and
they
also
will.
with the NBA thing.
Yeah, the NBA thing, I think, is going to end up just exploding.
That seems like a bigger story too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way deeper, what was it? Deeper roots.
So you've got a 49-year-old Hall of Famer turned NBA coach in Chauncey Billups, 3 players from 4 and 27 University of New Orleans,
Terry Rozier, who played on the Celtics.
Yeah, crazy. All right,
crazy X-ray tables. Right, it sounds like a movie. It'll be a sick movie, probably.
Right. I think we're gonna probably move to. Well, we have the winter meetings this week, so we may chime in before. Awards. Yeah, and more awards. So we may pop in on Sunday, but I think the idea here is that we would do weekly, and drop on Wednesday. Usually have the podcast drop on Wednesday, and go from there. So
record Tuesday night, go drop on Wednesday, and if anything else crazy happens, we'll do a pop-in episodes.
All right, bud.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Like, subscribe, guys. Take care.
See you around, Dad.